Hello, good morning all. Today is the again new day. So let's start reading chapter 2. Saturday morning was come and all the summer world was bright and fresh, the brimming with life. There was a song in every heart, and if the heart was young, the music issued at the lips. There was cheer in every face and a spring in every step. The locust trees were in bloom, and the fragrance of the blossoms filled the air. Cardiff Hill beyond the village and above it was green with vegetation, and it lay just far enough away to seem a delectable land and dreamy, resourceful and inviting. Tom appeared on the sidewalk with a bucket of whitewash and a long-handled brush. He surveyed the fence, and all the gladness left him, and a deep melan- melancholy settled down upon his spirit. 30 yards of board fence 9 feet high. Life to him seemed hollow and existent but a burden. Sighing, he dipped his brush and passed it along the topmost plank. Repeated operation. Did it again. Compared the insignificant whitewash stick with the far-reaching continent of unwhitewashed fence, and sat down on a tree box, discouraged. Dick Jim came skipping out at the gate with a tin pail and singing "Buffalo Gals." Bringing water from the town pump had always been hateful work in Tom's eyes before, but now it did not strike him so. He remembered that there was company at the pump. White, mulatto, and the negro boys and girls were always there waiting their turns, resting and trading playthings, quarreling, fighting, skylarking. And he remembered that although the pump was only 150 years off, Jim never got back with a bucket of water under an hour. And even then, somebody generally had to go after him. Tom said, "Say, Jim, I will fetch the water if you whitewash some." Jim shook his head and said, "Can't, Mars Tom. Oi, missy, she told me I got to go and get this water and not stop fooling around with anybody. She say she spec Ma Tom going to ask me to whitewash, and so she told me long and then to and long ago and attend to my own business. She lowered she tend to whitewash. Oh, never you mind what she said, Jim. That's what the way she always talks. Give me the bucket. I won't be gone only a minute. She won't even. Oh, I doesn't don't Tom. Oi, missy, she would take and the head off me. The she would. She never licks anybody wax over the head with her thimble, and so who cares for that? I would like to know. She talks awful, but don't hurt anyway. It don't if she don't cry. Jim, I will give you a marvel. I will give you a white alley. Jim began to waver. White alley, Jim, and it will a bully top. My, that a mighty gay marvel, I tell you. But Mars Tom is powerful, Fred Oi Missy. And besides, if you will, I will show you my sword too. Jim was only human. This attraction was too much for him. He put down his pail, took the wild alley, and bent over the door with absorbing interest while the bandage was being unwound. In another moment, he was flying down the street with his pail and tingling rear. Tom was whitewashing with a Wagger, and Aunt Polly was retiring from the field with her slipper in her hand and triumph in her eye. But the Tom's energy didn't last. He began to think of the fun he had planned for this day, and his sorrows multiplied. Soon the three boys would come tipping along on all sorts of delicious expeditions, and they would make a word of fun of him for having to work. The very thought of it burned him like fire. He got out his worldly wealth and examined it. Bits of toys, marbles, and trash, enough to buy an exchange of work, maybe, but not half enough to buy so much as half an hour of pure freedom. So he returned his straitened means to his pocket and gave up the idea of trying to buy the boys. At this dark and hopeless moment, an inspiration burst upon him, nothing less than a great magnificent inspiration. He took up his brush and went tranquilly to work. Ben Roger hove in sight presently, the very boy of all the boys whose ridicule he had been dreading. Ben's gait was the hop, skip, and jump proof enough that his heart was light and his anticipation high. He was eating an apple and giving a long melodious whoop at intervals, followed by a deep-toned ding dong ding, ding dong ding, for he was personating a steamboat. As he drew near, he slacked speed, took the middle of the speed, leaned far over to starboard, and rounded to ponderously and with a laboriously pomp and circumstance. For he was personating the big Missouri and considered himself to be drawing 9 feet of water. He was boat and captain and engine well combined, so he had to imagine himself standing on his own hurricane deck, giving the order and executing them. "Stop her, sir!" Ting-a-ling. The headway ran almost out, and he drew up slowly towards the sidewalk. Ship up to back, Ting-a-ling. His arm straightened and stiff down his side. Set her back on the stepped board, Ting-a-ling. Cho, cho, cho. His right hand meantime describing a stately circle, for it was representing a 40-foot wheel. Let her go back on the labor-board, Ting-a-ling. Cho, cho, cho. The left hand began to describe circle. Stop the step-board, Tingling. Stop the left-board. Come ahead a step-board. Stop her. Let her your outside turn over slow, Tingling. Chaw, chaw, chaw. Get out that headline lively now. Come out with your spring line. What you are about there. Take a turn round that stump with the bright of it. Stand by that stage. Now let her go. Done with the engines, sir, Tringling shit. Tom went on whitewashing, paid no attention to the steamboat. Ben stared a moment and then said, "Hey, are you a stump, aren't you?" No answer. Tom surveyed his last touch with the eye of an artist. Then he gave his brush another gentle sweep and surveyed the result as before. Ben ranged up alongside of him. Tom's mouth watered for the apple, but he stuck to his work. Ben said, "Hello, old chap. You got to work, hey?" Tom wheeled suddenly and said, "Why, it's you, Ben. I was not noticing. Say, I'm going in a swimming. I am. Don't you wish you could? But of course you would rather work, wouldn't you? Course you would." Tom contemplated the boy a bit and said, "What do you call work? Why aren't that work?" Tom resumed with his whitewashing and answered carelessly, "Well, maybe it is, maybe it ain't. All I know is that it suits Tom Saver. Oh, come on, now, you don't mean to let on that you like it. The brush continued to move. Like it. Well, I don't see why out to like it. Does a boy get a chance to whitewash a fence every day? That put the thing in a new light. Ben stopped nibbling his apple. Tom swept his brush daintily and back and forth, stepped back to note the effect at it, a touch here and there, criticized the effect again, Ben watching every move and getting more and more interested, more and more absorbed. Presently he said, "Say, Tom, let me whitewash a little." Tom considered was about to consent, but he altered his mind. "No, no, I reckon it. Wouldn't it hardly do? Ben, you see, Aunt Polly is awful particular about this fence right here on the street, but if it was the Beck's fence, I wouldn't mind it. She would, and she wouldn't. Yes, she's awful particular about this fence. It, it is, it has got to be done very carefully. I reckon, aren't there one boy in 1,000, maybe 2,000 that can do it the way it's got to be done. No, it is that so. Oh, come on, let me just try, only just a little. I would let you if you was me, Tom. Ben, I would like to, honest, in June. But Aunt Polly, well, Jim wanted to do it, but she wouldn't let him. Sid wanted to do it, and she wouldn't let Sid. Now don't you see how I'm fixed? If you was to tackle this fence, anything was to happen to it. Oh shucks, I will be just as careful. Now let me try. Say, I will give you the core of my apple. Well, here, no. When now don't. I am afraid. I will give you all of it. Tom gave up the brush with a reluctant in his face, but alacrity in his heart. And while the late steamer Big Missouri worked and sweated in the sun, the retired artist sat on the barrel in the shade close by, dangled his leg, munched his apple, and planned to slaughter of more innocents. There was no lack of material. Boys happened along ev- every little while. They came to jail but remained to whitewash. By the time Ben was packed out, Tom had traded the next chance to Billy Fisher for a guide in good tripler, and when he played out Johnny Miller bought it for a uh, rat. A string to swing it with, and so on, hour after hour. And when the middle of the afternoon came, from being a poor, poverty-stricken boy in the morning, Tom was literally rolling in wealth. He had, besides the things before mentioned, 12 marble, part of juice harp, a piece of blue bottle glass to look through, a spoon kennel, a key that wouldn't unlock anything, a fragment of chalk, grass last stopper of a decanter, a tin soldier, a couple of tadpoles, six firecrackers, a kitten with only one eye, brass doorknob, a dog collar but no dog, the handle of a knife, four pieces of orange peel, and a dilapidated old window sash. He had a nice, good idle time all the while, plenty of company, and the fence had 3 coats of whitewash on it. If he hadn't run out of the whitewash, he would have bankrupted every boy in the village. Tom said to himself that it was not such a hollow word after all. He had discovered a great law of human action without knowing it, namely, that in order to make a man or boy covet a thing, it is only necessary make the thing different to attain. If he had been a great and wise philosopher like the writer of this book, he would now have comprehended that work consists of whatever bloody is obliged to do, and the play consists of whatever a boy is not obliged to do. And this would help him to understand why constructing artificial flower or performing on a treadmill is work, while rolling 10 pins or climbing Mont Blanc is only amusement. There are wealthy gentlemen in England who drive four-horse passenger coaches 20 or 30 miles on a day line in the summer because their privilege costs them considerable money, but if they were offered wages for the service, that would turn it into work, and then they would resign. The boy mused a while over the substantial change which has taken place in his worldly circumstances, and then wended towards the headquarters to report.